Alright bros, sup bros, Yoshi Bros here, welcome back to another video. Now as you guys see today, I'm going to be doing a little something different. I know usually I am a gaming channel, but I wanted to switch it up a bit because, you know what, why not, and also I need watch time hours, so yeah. Today we're going to be doing an Iceberg video. Now if you don't know what an Iceberg video is, basically it's lighthearted information about any subject from the top, and then slowly but surely it gets either deeper, darker, and more unknown overall. It gets to the bottom. This is my first time doing an iceberg ever because I fell in love with it back in 2021 when it became a huge thing. Anywho, hope you guys enjoy it. Today we're going to be covering the SML iceberg. Now there are two icebergs right here. There's the first one made by somebody on Reddit. I will link it down below. And another one from the SML wiki. Now SML has definitely been a huge part of my childhood when I grew up, or when I was growing up. But yeah, no. We're going to be doing the SML, we're going to be doing the ultimate SML iceberg right now. And I hope you guys enjoy it. So let's get tier 1. Super Mario Logan. Logan 30acre, or better known as Super Mario Logan, or now SML, is a YouTuber who makes puppet videos to entertain a lot of people. He used to make his videos very edgy. I mean, nowadays it's still, I guess, pretty edgy, but it has definitely shifted and changed a lot. However, lots of kids like to see it because they're puppets, and originally used to use plushies. More on that later. Logan 30acre. Speak of the devil again. Logan 30acre is the man, the myth, the legend behind SML and its products. He has been doing this since, I believe, 2007, and has definitely made a long time coming. Marvin Lives with Bowser. This was changed obviously because of something that happened later on. But basically Marvin and Braxton both apparently share 50-50 custody of the house, and both of them live in different rooms. That's basically it. Both of them just sort of share a house. Jeffy. I'm gonna combine these next two entries because, you know, they're more or less adjacent to each other. But basically Jeffy is a character who was more or less created back in like 2016, and he was more or less like a character. He was just straight up a wild card. Lots of people didn't know what they were gonna go in mind, and people loved it. The first ever video that Logan ever made with Jeffy, I believe had over 10 million views. But basically Jeffy is this character with a blue helmet, has a pencil up his nose, and wears a diaper outside of his pants. And following this with his catchphrases, he says a lot of catchphrases. Most importantly, one that says I don't know how to really spell that because lots of people don't know how to spell it, and it's a whole thing. Or his other catchphrases like, "Hey daddy, what doing?" Or "You want to see my pencil?" which is an old one. He doesn't usually say it nowadays, but there's also another one where he's like, "You want to see my cat piano?" which is where he just starts playing his cat piano. Cody and Joseph. Cody and Joseph are Junior's best friends. Basically, they always hang out no matter what. They always do their things. And sometimes Jeffy even tags along. Cody and Joseph are like the yin and yang, basically. Joseph's more like the hype man, and Cody's more the person of reason. However, sometimes he isn't the person of reasoning. And like I said, Joseph is literally the hype man of everything. Like, he will definitely try to peer pressure someone into doing something else. That is his whole thing. New human puppets. The new human puppets, well, this iceberg was made quite a bit ago, but basically nowadays they're basically old news. But basically, originally they weren't used a lot, mainly because they were using plushies, which we'll get to that controversy much later. But basically Logan had to change it because of certain reasons, which I'll get into soon. And he changed them to completely new human casts, which is something he, to this day, still claims is a good idea. Lots of people see it differently. I personally think whatever makes that man happy is happy. But yeah, the swatting incident. This one is definitely interesting. Surprised that it wasn't in the other Iceberg. But basically, about 4 years ago, more or less, Logan was swatted by a anonymous person. To this day, still no one knows. But basically, he was threatening that he had shot up a lot of the that there were lots of gunshots, and he shot up apparently a lot of the neighbors' houses, which cost a whole barrage of SWAT team members to pull up to Logan's house. And like that, a lot of people, until that video was made, but apparently somebody leaked that video. To this day, no one knows who leaked that video, but they leaked the video of him swatting, and basically there's a video on Lance's channel where it shows what happened, basically their points of views of what happened, and to this day, yeah, they still don't know who was the culprit. Anyways, now that this tier is done, let's move on to the next tier. Tier 2. Mr. Goodman. Mr. Goodman is a character on SML who is basically the rich billionaire and the guy who collects the house payments from Marvin. They usually have a whole thing together, but he's just your average, I wouldn't say your average, but basically the stereotypical billionaire. I mean, he has a mansion, has a son that hates him, has a butler that he absolutely abuses, and yeah, he's also very well funny. He's a pretty funny guy, but basically he has a whole thing, and overall, it's just, like I said, your typical billionaire stereotype. That's basically it, though. Cody is gay. Well, I mean, yeah, it's pretty obvious. Basically, Cody from the previous tier basically is the voice of reason, but also most of the reason why is because he's gay. And he's also like the stereotypical nerd, but the problem is because he's gay, he has basically more time on his hands. And this was proven with an SML video called The Opposite Ray, where he shot himself with the opposite ray, and it turned him, instead of gay, it turned him straight, and it basically made him stupid. Why? Because when he was gay, he had a lot of time in his hands, and now that he wasn't, you know. But basically, yeah, Cody is gay. He's been confirmed gay, and he's always been gay. Cody's dad thinks Cody is black. Okay, basically the stepfather of Cody thinks that Cody himself is, well, not black, but Jewish. But basically, yeah, no, it's obvious that they're step. And also there was a video, I don't remember how long ago, a couple years ago, called the Pizza Man Delivery or something like that. Now Cody's father is a pizza delivery man from Canada or something like that. Marvin's constant debt. Yeah, no. Apparently Marvin has a bad track record when it comes to debt, cuz from all the videos that I've seen watching SML, this is definitely true. I mean, Marvin has accumulated a lot of debt, and very well also has sort of paid it off, but not really. It's not really clear, but ever since he got the house, it's just been, he's been accumulating a lot of debt. And also with a recent video where it's shown that not only has he taken out debt, but he also has a lot of credit card debt, which for like the longest time we've never known how he's able to pay these things, because it's not really shown before he had a job or an interview with Goodman. But more or less, his constant debt is a problem, which causes him to stress out a lot. Ties with Chili/Chili. Chili Jimenez, known as Chili, was Logan 30 Acres' first love, which then later they broke off, but then they went back together. I don't know, it was a whole ordeal, which you're gonna know more about. Basically, both of those two are now married, and yeah, basically that's his girlfriend. They used to do a lot of behind the scenes before, but nowadays it's Lance who does the behind the scenes. I mean, she still does behind the scenes, but it's not the same. Cable 10 crossover. Cable 10 is an SML parody channel that basically just parodies Jeffy, more or less. He has his own series and sort of at least tries to make an original attempt to these things, and sort of has tries to make at least somewhat original content, unlike, you know, a lot of these SML parody channels, which I'm not throwing shade, but come on, do a little something original. Cable 10, as far as I know, still they haven't ever made a collab. I mean, there was this one time where they were planned to, but it just never came through because of lots of things. But yeah, no, the Cable 10 is an interesting guy. Definitely do recommend if you like the whole SML thing, it's a sort of thing. However, like I said, he sort of does his own thing, which is one thing that I like. But like I said, the crossover originally just never happened, and yeah, that's about it. Joseph's mom. Joseph's, ironically enough, doesn't have any of his parents. Both of them died. But basically, Joseph's mom originally did quote unquote die, but then it was later found out that apparently she won the lottery, and Joseph is living a double life where he pretends to be poor but he's actually really rich. It was a whole thing, but a lot of people didn't like it, and it turns out it forced Logan to say that that wasn't canon. So now, as far as we know, Joseph's mom just died. She just died, and he didn't know, and he was just a bunch of bones. Goodman was killed and replaced by his evil brother. This entry actually got me stumped. I tried searching it up. I tried doing intense research, but nothing. As far as I know, the closest thing to like an evil thing that he's ever had, because Goodman does have a brother, but he's not evil. He's just black. I don't know. I believe what they're either trying to think are one of two things. One is that instead of saying Goodman, they meant to say Brooklyn Guy, because he had an evil brother called Does Bad Things Guy, which we'll get later on too. Or what I think about is they probably meant to say Goodman's clone, because there was an episode of SML where Goodman creates a clone, but it turns out he's sort of defective and turns out to be evil and tries to kill him. But then it turns out it was a ploy just to see if Marvin would turn on Goodman. I don't know. It was a whole thing. But yeah, this entry just sort of got me stumped. If anyone knows, just comment down below. Skid Dip. Apparently this is the name of the swatter who swatted SML's house. I never knew this until now. Apparently the guy's name is just Skid Dip. That's literally it. Scooter is also an incredibly popular character who's sort of like the anti-Jeffy, if you will. Basically, obviously he's just as dumb as him, but basically a lot of people loved him, and yeah, he just sort of became a character. However, the voice actor of Scooter, Matthew, had charges towards him, which means he probably won't come back. He might, who knows. However, we'll get to that later. The overuse of Brooklyn Guy. This entry is easy. Basically, Brooklyn Guy is in at least almost every new SML video. He's been in at least 2 out of the 3 like SML videos. Basically, yeah, they overuse him because he is like the new Goodman, because originally Goodman was like Brooklyn Guy, where he had a lot of brothers and had a lot of jobs, but basically overall just Brooklyn Guy sort of became that role, and now he has all the jobs more or less. And whenever they need a doctor, a policeman, a nurse, anything like that, he's on that. A lawyer, he's all of that. And he's basically just like the go-to guy. But basically his overuse is just that he's literally the equivalent of the side character, and he always just, I mean, most of the time he gets his own videos from that time to time for character development, but I mean, sometimes never leads anywhere. But yeah, and that's it. Let's go on to tier 3. Logan's 3 Lamborghinis. This one's simple. Over time, he's owned, well, technically he's owned 3 Lamborghinis. The first one was a Lamborghini Aventador, you know, the one with the butterfly wings. However, that one actually made him super miserable because it just sucked. Like, it broke down most of the time, and it was just overall uncomfortable. And it had a wrapped, you know, Mario, and also he bought one for his girlfriend, but it wasn't one with butterfly doors. I don't remember what Lamborghini it was. And then after that, he sold his Lamborghini Aventador, or I think it just died, and he just sold it for scraps. And then he bought another Lamborghini. He then bought a Lamborghini SVJ, which apparently was better than the Aventador, but not by much. And I'm not sure if he sold it or he kept it, but basically those are the 3 Lamborghinis that he's owned. Logan's address is public. Yes, this one's true. Logan's house is public. I'm pretty sure there's like a mark on it on Google Maps or something. If you search something up in Pensacola, you're probably gonna find it. But yeah, he hasn't really made an effort to hide it. In fact, I think he used to do tours of the house. I'm not sure if he still does it anymore. But yeah, no, his house is very public, and that got him swatted. Not really a best thing to have your thing public, and also he's sort of blacklisted from ordering from certain pizzas unless it's already paid for. Except apparently there's only one pizza place nearby that still lets him deliver without paying, because apparently you have to pay if you want to deliver to that location, because they know they've seen lots of hundreds of pizzas like that. But yeah, his address is very public, and he hasn't really hidden it. Aliens are real. This entry is basically just how there's been aliens on SML's channel. Obviously they're played by puppets, or they're played by people, but yeah, there's a lot of alien things related on his channel, lots of videos towards that. Marvin only cares for Jeffy only to get money. This one actually used to be true for a while before Jeffy's 18th birthday, which we'll get later on too. But basically, Marvin sort of only adopted Jeffy when he was 12. His father originally left him with literally millions of dollars because he died, which made Jeffy sort of a millionaire. But the problem is he wouldn't be able to access that money until he was 18. Basically, he only adopted him because of that. There was nothing else, but he later grew on to sort of, you know, see him as his son. Jeffy brought in fat stacks for the channel. Yeah, no, this one's pretty obvious. I mean, his videos alone make him over probably hundreds of thousands every day. Yeah, this one's just true. There's literally nothing stopping him. Like, Jeffy alone probably carries most of the channel, and it's not even funny. Like, I'm pretty sure every time a SML video comes up, I think he gets over 1 million views within less than 24 hours. It's actually not even funny how many views he gets with Jeffy videos. Jeffy car. Yeah, Jeffy had 2 cars. Originally there was a 1998 Ford Focus, if I'm not mistaken, was one of his cars. And yeah, until until a video where he wrecked it, and he because of a dare. And then there was his current vehicle, the Jeffy Mobile 2, where I believe it was a BMW. I'm not sure. It was a convertible something. And yeah, that's what he uses now. And also, I just want to point out, because of the latest SML video, he also now has a monster truck. I'm not sure. Obviously, I'm pretty sure it was just a rental, but yeah, he also has a monster truck. Braxton occasionally loves Junior. So this entry is basically what it says. Braxton has a really tough relationship with Junior because he sort of abuses him on the daily. We'll get to that later, but yeah, no, but occasionally from time to time, he definitely cares about him. Like, there's definitely scenes where both of them act like father and son. But yeah, no, he definitely does show love for him. Unfinished SML movie series. This one means one of two things. Either means a series of SML videos that were just never unfinished, or it means the series of every time Logan has talked about the SML movie. and he's talked to it a lot, but it just never came through. But yeah, it has to be one of the two. I personally don't know, but I'm thinking the latter. Robot Chef PP. In one of the SML videos, basically Chef PP decides he's gonna go on vacation, so he either buys a robot or just sort of made a robot. I don't really remember, but basically he has this said robot do the things that he would do normally. Junior was really freaked out because he saw a robot killing the world movie or something like that. Didn't think he was or thought he was a robot, and then sort of sparked a plug, which turns out that yes, Chef PP technically was a robot, but then Junior drowned him for some reason or something like that. Then it turns out that yeah, Chef PP was on vacation and he had the robot to replace him. The Door. The Door was a video which was very controversial because it showed a lot of guts and it was like a lot of gore in the secret door. It was a huge thing that Logan, when he first moved into the SML house, was hyping up, basically. Yeah, and it turns out that there was a character who was behind all this. I mean, you should watch the video for yourself, but the entry will later come on. But basically, that secret door had a lot of bodies, and it was already more or less theorized that when Marvin first moved into the house, he was obligated, they were obligated to say that 26 people died, and that's what was behind the door. 26 bodies, orchestrated by a certain someone, which we will talk to soon. The Koopalings / Koopa Kids. This was a small series before the before the puppets, when they were using plushies, where Junior was Bowser Jr. and basically the Koopalings were his siblings. There was one time where they made like a female Braxton, and he just sort of had a lot of siblings, apparently. But then that storyline was canned, and they remade it so where he had bought a clone machine from Screwball, which is another character that we'll soon do. But basically, he cloned himself, and that was the whole reason why they moved out of the SML house, moved out of a apartment, which again we'll also get to. But basically, yeah, it was sort of a storyline sort of thing, and yeah, they were never brought back, and I don't think they ever will. Joseph the Millionaire. Yeah, I already talked about this one, but Joseph the Millionaire was a SML video where it turns out that Joseph was living a double life where to his friends he was really poor, but it turns out that his mom didn't actually die, and it turns out she won the lottery, and she's been wiring him money, a lot of money, and it turns out they bought a mansion and everything, and he was just living a secret double life where he was rich in private, but with his friends he was poor. However, that video blew up, and not in the good way, because there was so much hate towards it that Logan himself had to put out a statement saying that it was not canon, and ever since then he's just stayed poor. Jeffy's Tantrum controversy. This is referring to the controversy caused by the SML short Jeffy's Tantrum, where basically in 2017 it was a very controversial video where Jeffy had a tantrum because Marvin wouldn't buy him a app on the App Store. And basically in that video it turns out this controversy arose because apparently after a kid watched that video, he attempted to and that led to a whole scandal, which we'll get to soon because it's part of a bigger thing. But many people said it was fake. However, he didn't actually in that video, but he was going to. But yeah, no, it was just a controversy on top of a controversy, and in that video to this day, it's deleted, but there's obviously re-uploads of it. Matthew's fake charges. This is what I mentioned in the earlier entry about Scooter. These charges I was referring to were the claims on Matthew. However, the charges were dropped. But like I said, I don't think you want to associate yourself with someone that did really bad things, and that's what I think why Logan, sort of cut ties with him. We will be learning about cutting ties soon as well, but yeah, this is the final entry. Let's move on to the next one. Chef Pee-Pee's multiple jobs / Chef Pee-Pee quits. This entry is referring to the SML series Chef Pee-Pee Quits, where there was a whole series where Chef Pee-Pee just couldn't take it anymore and he just quits. And he has multiple jobs, which were completely all different, from becoming, ironically enough, a security guard at a pizza place, which would later be recycled to the Jeffy's FNAF videos, to becoming a rapper, to also becoming an office worker as well. There was one episode that he missed out on, more on that later. Junior / Jeffy recycling process. This entry refers to how basically most of the plot of SML, how it works. Basically, it's one of those two have an idea, they do that said idea, something always goes wrong, and then they go back to square one. Repeat process over and over again. And that's how usually a Junior / Jeffy videos start. I mean, usually it's Jeffy annoying Marvin, then like something happens and an idea happens, and then something goes horribly wrong, they somehow cheese out of it, and the cycle continues. And then with Junior, it's almost the same thing. They're all bored, so they want to do something interesting happens, it really hits the fan, and then somehow they cheese out of it. I mean, sometimes the process doesn't go through almost all the way, sometimes in some videos it doesn't go through, but most of the time, when I mean that, it's like 90-10% of the time, it'll always be that same recycling process. Screwball. This entry is referring to a very infamous character in SML, which is a clown who sort of does a lot. He does lots of substances as well, and it's not really sure if he's homeless or not, but I mean, he might as well be. Basically, he's just a really unhinged character voiced by Lance. I don't know, it's just sort of unhinged and is overall like pretty disgusting. He's very, if you know SML, you probably have seen a video or two with him, not recently, but you definitely know who he is. SML movie feature length / the SML movie. This entry is referring to how Jeffy's 18th birthday was originally supposed to be the SML movie. Most of it sort of did get recycled. By that I mean the first few minutes of it got recycled. However, it's completely changed on the way how it was originally supposed to be conceived. Originally, it was supposed to be same part where Nancy escapes jail, tries to kidnap Jeffy with the help of Screwball, but then they accidentally kidnap Mario / Marvin. And then apparently most of the characters go, from what I've heard, apparently the characters go show, and it's just like a scene from like Mad Max where like the entire house is just torn apart, and Bowser, Chef Pee-Pee don't know what to do until they decide to call up an old friend, which later on becomes Mama Luigi. There's a video about this that goes more in depth. I'll link it in the description below, so you guys can see what more of the SML movie and what could have it been. But that's basically the gist of what happens, and more later on Mama Luigi and his voice actor. Jeffy's kids, family friendly. This is basically referring to the SML video Jeffy's Kids, where he fucks a Cheerio box, he gets pregnant, and he has 3 kids. Basically, YouTube demonetized it because, I don't know. I mean, it was just basically a parody, and it showed a lot of, no, I wouldn't say nudity, because there was nothing at all. It was just a Cheerio box. However, YouTube didn't like it. This was during the Adpocalypse era of YouTube, and basically what he did a kid-friendly version where basically all the scenes of the Cheerio giving birth were just changed to like Animal Planet-esque things. You could definitely search it up. It's definitely shown where you can find a lot of where like they're quote-unquote kid-friendly and it's just edited over it. But yeah, this is one of those few instances. Season 0. I could not find anything about Season 0. I'm not sure if it was supposed to be a series about anything, could have been a Season 0. What I think personally what it could be is just before Jeffy times maybe, or just even before, even like early junior times maybe. Where is Season 0? Like I said, I just don't know anything about this one. I tried searching up anything. I even tried searching in the subreddit. Couldn't find anything. So if anyone can comment what Season 0 is, please do. Logan's apartment. Before the SML house, he used to live in an apartment. And this is where he really took off in terms of career base. I remember personally the SML apartment. Hell, I started watching SML during the apartment era, early apartment era. We're talking before Jeffy was even introduced as a character. But basically, he had a lot of apartment videos, and obviously, for obvious reasons, he moved to a house where he can actually securely do things. But no, yeah, he used to live in an apartment for a long time. We're talking for like, I think 4 or 5 years, I think. Joseph's real last name. Joseph's last name is his friend from school. I'm not sure if a lot of people knew that, but yeah, his last name is his friend from school. But a lot of people speculate that he has a real last name. To this day, Logan hasn't ever said anything about this. This is just a rumor. But yeah, Joseph's last name is his friend from school. Here's Jeffy. Here's Jeffy is interesting. I don't really know what it means. Again, I tried doing research, but I'm not sure. My guess is probably a catchphrase that he once had. Probably not though. He probably said it in a video once, and I guess it never really caught on. But here's Jeffy, I feel like is just that, just a catchphrase or something he says during a video, because I've definitely seen like the Shining-esque parts on SML. Like there was this one time I think where he threw an axe at the wall. I'm not sure if it was at the wall or at the door, but I'm pretty sure this is where it came from. If not, then please correct me in the comments. No continuity. This entry is referring to the fact that there's no continuity in any video at all. The characters just have their current personalities. I mean, this entry is sort of just not true. There definitely has been some continuity. There's definitely has been some character development, especially for a lot of characters. But yeah, their personalities sometimes changed. I mean, if you go back 5 years ago to a SML video, I guarantee it's going to be different from 5 years ago today. But there is a little bit of continuity. So take this entry with a grain of salt. Jeffy fans. There really isn't an explanation here about this one. I mean, they're just fans of Jeffy. They're pretty obnoxious. Try to replicate him. That's really it, I guess. The death of Phoebe. Phoebe is Jeffy's sister. Basically, she was only used for about like 2 episodes of SML. One where she was sort of introduced, and then another one where she was kind of back. But basically, in the end, she basically dies at the end. She gets hit by a truck, if I'm not mistaken. And that's about it, really. She was just a character that was just basically used twice. Well, a third time because of one of the future entries, which we'll get into later. Mama Luigi. Mama Luigi was a very popular character way before even Jeffy. Literally, probably like about 5 or 6 years way before Jeffy. We're talking Logan's mother's house ages, which was about 7 years ago-ish, maybe. I don't know how long it's been, but yeah. Mama Luigi was a very beloved character who was voiced by a childhood friend of Logan's named Zeke. However, apparently Zeke had to move to Minnesota or some state in the Midwest, and because of that, in one of the original Super Mario Bros. Or Super Mario Logan series called Super Mario's Dumb Adventures, or it was called Mario and Luigi's Big Stupid Dumb Adventures or something like that. He sort of kills himself in an act of bravery, where he has a bomb strapped to his chest, and he sort of explodes, but to kill an enemy. And it was sort of heroic, but it was a sort of way to send off the character as long because Zeke was moving to a different state. And yeah, a couple years later though, they met up and did a couple of videos and also tried to film the Super Mario Logan movie. More on that later of what happens to them. So yeah. SML on Good Morning America. For one of the older fans, you guys should probably know this one, but for newer fans, if you didn't know, this entry is referring to basically the straw that broke the camel's back and caused SML's original channel to basically die. It was like the straw that broke the camel's back, or just like the last domino that started a chain reaction of lots of things. But basically, SML was featured on Good Morning America in 2017, which was not a good look, mostly because it only showed him in a negative light. And it sort of saw a lot of things, like for example, a character that we'll get to later called Doofy was that had sugar on his nose, indicating, what? And also, Jeffy's temper tantrum as well was part of it, where it showed a lot of cussing, which sort of brought YouTube's attention and saw what kind of videos they were posting and basically started to demonetize them, which caused a whole thing. And yeah, because of Good Morning America's cover, it basically brought to light what he's been doing, which is not really a good thing, but not a bad thing either. But yeah, because of that, he got everything demonetized. And that was tier 4. We are barely halfway done with this. We still have 7 more layers to go. Junior's nightly beatings. This entry basically just refers that Junior gets nightly beatings from his dad, which was confirmed in an episode a couple years ago. That's about it. He gets nightly beatings. SML racist caricatures. This is referring to the fact that there are multiple characters in SML that basically play racial stereotypes, like Black Yoshi or now your boy Dougie, who plays the stereotypical black man. And when I mean really stereotypical, we're talking unemployed, uses welfare checks, mooches off people, which basically evolved because he used to be a lot more thug-like and gang-banging-like, to quite literally be blunt. Black Yoshi basically used to have a backbone and a spine, at least. He still plays Call of Duty, however, he no longer has that said backbone. Like, he used to carry a lot of people, and that was part of his personality, but he slowly shifted to becoming more of a moocher than anything. And for other characters, another example is Camille Habib Habab, which I personally loved because I like doing the voice, it's funny. However, it is sort of the racist Middle Eastern stereotype. On top of that, there's also a very wealthy Arab man. I don't really know what his name is because sometimes it changes, but he's been referred to as Abu Dhabi, which is, a play on the actual city, Abu Dhabi. But yeah, no. He plays the stereotypical rich billionaire Arab man. However, it's kind of weird because he doesn't have the voice of an Arab man. He sort of just sounds like the lemur from Madagascar. I forgot his name. King Julian. There you go. Sorry. There's also Chief Wachu P, which is, what's it called? A Native American stereotype. On top of that, there's also Jackie Chu, who basically plays the stereotypical Asian. He can't see That's about a good majority of the racial stereotypes. He still uses them in the video, but obviously tries not to be a lot blunt. And no one really cares because at the end of the day, I mean, they're just puppets. That's really it. Jason Derulo collab. Sorry about that intro, guys. I just had to do it. Come on now, it's Jason Derulo. Anywho, basically, back in 2020, more or less, 2021, Jason Derulo collabed with SML. They were talking, and Logan flew out to LA with him and his crew to go film an SML video. And on top of that, Jason Derulo himself also filmed a video with them. I don't know what caused this collab to happen. It was definitely one of the biggest ones, and personally I remember during the lockdowns I was watching this video a lot because I saw a lot. I mean, they rented a McLaren, or I think they borrowed Jason's, I'm not sure, in LA, and they just sped on it. They did a drag races and it was super cool. But yeah, no, they flew out to LA to go film with Jason Derulo. And overall, the video was pretty interesting. I mean, like I said, they did a lot of TikToks together. Jeffy's slow aging. This is referring to how the puppet really hasn't aged that well, in terms of it just hasn't aged. Overall, that he's been technically a puppet for about 6 years now, which means he was from 12 years old to, I believe now he's 20, which is actually kind of crazy to think about how many years it's been since he was first introduced as a puppet. But yeah, that's about it. Joseph's random absence. There are some instances where Joseph was just not there. Like, I mean, he was there as like a puppet, just there, but he wasn't, like, his voice actor was not there. And those occasions were from medical emergencies, such as like he broke something, or, you know, the voice actor Lavelle had a kid, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, sometimes it was just that. He had random absences sometimes. Cody can invent anything. This entry is referring to the fact that Cody has basically built almost every machine in any single video, from the baby machine to the clone machine to the opposite ray to the human potions to basically everything. And it's basically saying that he can basically invent anything. I mean, he even invented a time machine, I'm pretty sure, at one point. Which is sort of true because, I mean, Cody's supposed to be the know-it-all geek. And, I mean, it kind of makes sense that he sort of knows how to invent anything. But yeah, Bowser is a bisexual. This entry is referring to the fact that he sort of is. In the episode Superpowers, the original, for both of them, Cody transforms into Chef Pee-Pee and basically has his way with Braxton. And on top of that, in another episode called 1-2 Switching Bodies, where Junior and Jeffy switch bodies, Cody and Chef Pee-Pee switch bodies, and he has his way with Braxton again. It's not really confirmed or sort of accepted, or like, it's not really confirmed, but it's basically confirmed by the hints that they give us. I mean, he himself has said that he sort of likes tickling his booty. There's one time in the SML movie The Bet, where basically he sort of says he likes it in his butt on occasions, no homo. He definitely does like both men and women. But yeah, Logan's rampage. This is referring to the time when there was drama in both him and Chili's life. He sort of just lost it and started cutting up a lot of puppets from Tito. Like, he ripped them apart. He obviously paid Tito back, but I don't know, something just sort of snapped in him and sort of caused the whole breakup between Chili and Logan, but then they got back together. More on that later, but yeah, that's what this entry is referring to. Lance medical SML videos. This is referring to the fact that Lance has definitely had medical issues, especially recently. I mean, he had hand surgery where he couldn't really play a character. And Logan himself, I mean, he broke his back trying to film the Fast and Furious video. And he's still recovering to this very day about that. But yeah, Lance sort of does have some medical issues in terms of things over the past why he couldn't film. But not only that, if that's not what this entry is referring to, it's also probably referring to his medical knowledge, because Lance, I'm pretty sure, does have a medical degree, or it was engineering, one of the two, I don't remember. It's been a long time since I've seen his Meet the Cast video, but it's definitely referring to that. Shrek and Woody. This entry is referring to the videos of Shrek and Woody, which I'm just combining these two entries because basically if you're an OG or an old SML fan video, you definitely know about Shrek and Woody. But basically, Lance, before Lance had Jeffy, he had Shrek, Woody, Black Yoshi, and Piggy and Tony the Tiger. More on that later. But the two known ones were Shrek and Woody. Shrek because he wasn't like Shrek from the movies. He was more or less, I like to my pants and eat cheesecake all day, which was sort of his thing, and a lot of people liked it because of that, because it was a whole different take on Shrek in terms of like the character. Interesting. And Woody was also completely different, as he was a shrimp-o hunter, which basically he just hunts shrimp, and that was his whole thing. He was always doing like mating calls and stuff like that to attract said shrimp so he can eat them. And I think recently in April they used Woody. Same with Shrek, I think they also used a video. Exclusive SML thank you videos. This is referring to if you ever buy a puppet from the official SML shop, they also send you a link to an exclusive video of that said puppet thanking you for buying that said puppet. This is actually recently resurfaced for me on TikTok, where I saw what videos, and it's basically, it shows you an unlisted video where a very few amount of people have seen, where basically that said puppet just thanks you for buying them. And it's actually pretty cool because you don't normally see that, where they just sent you an exclusive video saying thank you for buying me, I really appreciate it, which, you know, it's kind of interesting. Like I said, I've never seen it because I haven't bought an SML puppet, but yeah, it was pretty cool to see all the SML thank you videos. Logan has a kid. Yeah, remember back in tier 2 where I told you more on that later? Yeah, we're back here. Yeah, Logan has a kid. A girl. I believe her name was Charlie, if I'm not mistaken. It was something with a C. I don't remember. I'm pretty sure it was Charlie. I'm not sure because he basically keeps her very private. She most of the time is with Chili, and they try to not show a lot, but respectfully so, because, you know, he has a kid now. But yeah, no, Logan has a kid named Charlie. Black Yoshi being the cause of the Black Yoshi costume removal in Super Smash Bros. U. This is referring to the theory somebody made about how Nintendo possibly saw the Good Morning America segment in SML, watched the video with Black Yoshi, and cut the costume of him. That theory sort of hasn't been shown, but yeah, that's this is a very interesting theory to know that how, but I don't think it's likely. I think they more or less just cut him because it was just another variant. I don't know. The cast. This is referring to the fact that in Jeffy and Junior's Golden Play button, there were puppet versions of Logan, Lance, Lavelle, and Pablo. Later on, Elena was also introduced in the cast, and it was sort of kind of interesting to see how they viewed themselves, like in the puppet versions. And this is definitely kind of cool, especially because you don't really see more of like behind the scenes sort of thing, and it's sort of cool how they made a behind the scenes of the behind the scenes, sort of like an Inception sort of thing. And yeah, they made puppet versions of themselves, and they're sort of known in universe as well. And it's kind of cool how they lightly tap the fourth wall. The merch.
Do that, and now we're poor. How are we gonna make money now?
Well, Danny, we always got our myrrh.
Our myrrh?
Yeah, our myrrh.
The speech is my recital. I think it's very vital to rock a rhyme that's right on time.
Here we go.
It's tricky to rock a rhyme, to rock a rhyme that's right on time. It's tricky. It's tricky, 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 tricky.
SMLmerch.com, go buy right
come on, y'all. You guys should know this. SML sells merch. I'm not gonna directly tell you to go there because, you know, I'm not getting paid for this. I'm just saying, Logan, pay me. That was a joke. That was a joke. You don't have to if you don't want to. But yeah, no. SML merch. You could get everything. Buy it now. That is your one plug, Logan. You only get one. You got it. Seriously, though. Like and subscribe. Logan canceled all of his series because of Jeffy. This one's sort of not true. I mean, there are definitely series that aren't Jeffy focused. Like for example, the Playtime series. He's still doing that, which is basically Junior, Joseph, and basically everyone there have adult jobs and they recreate stuff. Same with like the play series where they go into plays and they sort of do their own thing, which is another cool sort of thing. In Chef Peepee's Quits, he sort of quit that series because he was too focused on Jeffy, but also more or less because they didn't know how to really film the last sort of episode of the series. And there are definitely Jeffy adjacent series, like for example the Dragon Ball Z series, which is pretty cool in my opinion. I never grew up watching Dragon Ball Z. I did see a couple episodes here and there when I was a kid on Toonami, but yeah. Rosalina / Rose's many boyfriends. This one's just referring to how before she met Mario / Marvin, she was a bit of a woman from the streets, if you know what I mean. Yeah, no, she had a lot of boyfriends that all completely differed from different sides of the political spectrum to different varies. Like for example, she had a hippie and also a redneck as well. She also had a superhero, multiple superheroes. In fact, they did a whole Avengers video of it. She had a lot on her plate, which, you know, to each their own, but, you know. Marvin sort of gets jealous from time to time when he sees these people. And that's tier 6. I hope you guys are still awake because we still have 5 more tiers to go. Yes, I miscounted the last tier, but yeah. The SML movie is Jeffy's 18th birthday. I sort of said this in tier 4, but what originally was of the original SML movie later got sort of recycled to Jeffy's 18th birthday, which to this day is still probably the longest SML video out there, which is sort of crazy to say. And it's not really an hour, it was only like 40 minutes at best. Which, yeah, it's sort of true, but sort of not, because it went in a completely different turn from what Logan was more or less trying to do. Like I said, I put the video down below if you guys want to know more about it. Logan's disposable income. To put it simply, the man is pretty well off in terms of things. I mean, the man, for God's sakes, the man has McDonald's at least every day from what I remember in the vlog videos. And yeah, he gave Pooby, one of his closest friends, a Hyundai Sonata that he really wanted. In fact, when he asked him what color and everything, he was already at the dealership trying to get that said thing that he wanted. You know, the man owns 2 Lamborghinis currently, a Porsche, a couple Teslas, you know, average things. Brooklyn T Guy's many moons ago careers. This one's actually kind of interesting to think about, knowing how many jobs this man has and yet he can barely pay the lights. Because the amount of jobs that man has is kind of concerning, and also more importantly, knowing how is this man not rich considering each paycheck varies completely differently. He has multiple jobs that are quite literally multi-million paying, and jobs that pay quite literally nothing, which kind of stumps me to say. Because when I always think of this, I just think, when that paycheck hits, is he like gambling it away or something? Because like, it has to be at least 7 figures, I'm just saying. For those of you who don't know how to count 7 figures as millions. But yeah, back to my spew here. he has a lot of jobs slash careers. I mean, he is a police officer, a doctor, an astronaut, a pizza delivery driver, an Uber driver, a dentist, a lawyer, and just a lot of jobs that I really can't think of besides those. But he has a lot. Matter of fact, he is a cameraman. He is quite literally a lot. The sun's a planet. Oh, hey, a joke entry. Kind of cool to see one of these. Basically, this is one of Junior's thoughts and his beliefs, where he basically thinks the sun is a planet. It's definitely not as obvious as nowadays because he really just doesn't say it all that often, but before that used to be part of his personality, where he used to say the sun is a planet a lot. I'm not sure if he still does, but he thinks the sun's a planet. They are aware they're puppets. This is referring to how all of the characters slash cast, all the characters in the universe know that they are puppets. In fact, they've all lightly tapped the fourth wall at least once. It's kind of cool to think about, but they all know that they are puppets. And in fact, sometimes they have realizations. Like, for example, there was one time when Brooklyn Guy was the Uber driver, for Joseph Jr. and Cody. However, he then quite literally has like a aha thing when he realizes what they are, because they used to be plushies before puppets. And like I said, they've always sort of known. I mean, in certain courtroom scenes, they like for example, Brooklyn Guy even himself admits, yeah, no, we used to be puppets and stuff like that. And in fact, recently they had a sort of fourth wall breaking video where Brooklyn Guy was being overused too much, and so they sort of banished him. It was actually pretty cool to see on how their purpose is. It's kind of cool. Different sets of Marios and Luigis. This is referring to the whole infinite universe thing, where Mario in the Stupid Dumb Adventure sort of realizes that there are lots of versions of himself, and sort of the same thing applies here, where there's different sets of Marios and Luigis that he uses. Well, he used to use. But yeah. Logan's supposed financial struggle. This is referring to how before he was big, and hell, before he was even barely making anything, he was very much struggling financially because he sort of didn't know how to handle the said money. Used it all and then was kind of just screwed. That is until Jeffy came along, and that changed absolutely everything. But yeah, before Jeffy, and hell, before even sometimes, the whole thing, it sort of took a toll on him because, like I said, he wasn't making enough money so where he could keep on doing this. I mean, of course, nowadays it's completely different. But like I said, when he had a low subscriber count, it really was not paying the bills. Which, I mean, it's understandable. Hell, look at this channel. I don't even have ads on this yet. You know, this shit gets viewed. I'm just saying. Logan's very old house. This entry is referring to before the SML house and before the apartment. He used to live in his mom's house, and this house was the house that was the very first house in SML, the first ever one that he ever recorded his first video back in 2007. But yeah, this house, I mean, I never grew up in this, but I used to watch the old videos and they were so cool to look at. There was like a lot of good videos, like there was the Kool-Aid video where they got every single Powerade, or not, every single Monster Energy drink. They all combined it, even the caffeine ones, and it was just kind of crazy to think about. There was also one for like the carnival, which was pretty cool, even though that one was outside of the house. But yeah, there was definitely a lot of good videos made during that time. Hell is real. This entry is referring to the fact that in the SML universe, Craig, also known as the Devil, basically, you know, is the king of the underworld / green screen. But yeah, hell is real in the SML universe. Jeffy's Law. This is referring to the logic that Jeffy sometimes uses Like, for example, 2 plus 2, which was baby 2 because the mommy 2 and the daddy 2 loved each other and made baby 2. And there was 9 times 9, where apparently he got 999 because when he multiplied 9 times 9, you get another 9, which put that together means 999. Then there was another one, I don't remember, it was 7 minus 6 or 6 minus 7, I don't remember. Could have been completely wrong, where basically they were using the cards, and apparently the answer that he got was 6 because he just took out the 7 and put the 6 or something like that. But yeah, Jeffy, when it comes to math, is not very smart. Brooklyn Guy Gaming. Brooklyn Guy Gaming was a old channel which later turned out to just be like an SML gaming channel, way before when he had like the face cam and everything, where it was just him. But basically, it was just Brooklyn Guy while someone else was playing a video game like Minecraft or something like that. Logan won't get rid of Jeffy. I mean, this one's sort of self-explanatory. I mean, he probably won't ever get rid of Jeffy because of how much money Jeffy gives him. I mean, with every Jeffy video, a regular video will only get maybe half, hell, maybe even a third of those views, because I mean, Jeffy is he's himself, he's Timothy. Not as they seem. This is referring to an SML creepypasta called Not As It Seems, where basically it revolves a fan who hates Jeffy and one day makes a fanfic about Lucy from the Loud House. What the fuck am I reading right now? Defeating an evil Jeffy called Crazed Jeffy, who worships Jeffy like a god and has their own cult. Killed her grandparents and they soon arrest and sentence to death. I highly recommend it. Check it out, it's great. By the way, before you ask, I read that straight from the wiki. For one of the icebergs, the second one, not the first big one. So that's where I'm getting some of this info from, and I gotta say, some of these stuff is unhinged. Mario/Marvin in a coma. This is a theory made by Madoofus. Sorry if I butchered that. Explaining how Mario/Marvin may be in a coma and everything in SML is going into his head. Considering the just like outrageous things, for example, how Rose always takes his side. I'm not sure if anyone notices this, but Rose always takes Jeffy's side. Not sure if it's some sort of bias or anything. Or like sort of how just everything in SML just sort of works out at the very end. And it's kind of interesting how most of the time, and a lot of the time, some people poke, even the creators themselves, SML has poked fun at this sort of thing. It's not all in Marvin's head. And that was tier 6. Home stretch, y'all. Just a couple more. Doofy the Dragon. Doofy the Dragon was, or sort of still is, a very controversial character that hasn't been shown for at least 4 or 5 years now. Due to his controversy, he more or less doesn't show up in any episodes nowadays. But basically, back then, he was a very controversial character, and he had his own TV show in the SML universe called the Doofy the Dragon's Kids Show, where basically every episode he tries to in every single episode, albeit ODing or himself in the head, or even carbon monoxide poisoning. He always tries to find a way for us in every single episode. Apparently, not only did Logan himself remove the character because of the controversy on Good Morning America, but also allegedly there was a kid who also tried to replicate whatever Doofy the Dragon did, and that's alleged. But regardless, I think Logan made the right decision to recast or retire the Doofy the Dragon puppet. Heart monitor cheats death. This is referring to how every single hospital scene in SML, it's always that same heart rate monitor that always pops up. And basically it just means that most of the time it'll just flatline, which I guess the monitor itself hasn't cheated death before or hasn't died yet. I don't know. But basically this is just referring to the heart monitor in every single hospital scene. Brooklyn Guy's incest family. This is referring to the fact that Brooklyn Guy has a lot of brothers, like a lot of brothers. However, we've only seen really just 3 brothers, which is just him, Jonathan, and Jonathan, and another person, which we will soon talk about. But those are more or less the only 3 people I can think of off the top of my head. However, in older episodes, he did say that he had basically a brother guy for every other place. Like, he had a Miami guy, he had a Chicago guy, he had a New York guy. Well, actually, no. Editor Yoshi here. I am super sorry about what you guys just heard. None of this is relevant. Basically, what I was trying to say is that this entry was referring to the fact that it's basically referring to the fact that Brooklyn Guy and all of his family members look almost identical, and you could definitely see it in the footage right now, how all of them look exactly the same. And it's probably what this entry was referring to. Like I said, just disregard anything I said, because like I said, it's literally just that. Ken is alive? This is another joke entry. I mean, obviously Ken is a doll, and personally, I am not sure when they're gonna like stop making that, because I mean, Cody himself, technically Ken himself is technically alive, because there has been some scenes where they've been able to do a lot of things, such as duct tape him while they drive, take out loans in his name, and also there was the one time when Cody shot him with a ray or something like that, and it turned him alive, like alive. Jeffy's uncensored hard R.
Jeffy's at.
What's up, Nick?
Jeffy has never said the N-word hard R. In the older videos, when they were a lot more edgier, he has said the N-word, but he's never actually said it hard R. And the times that quote-unquote he did say the hard R, it turns out in the behind the scenes that he really wasn't. But yeah, I don't think I've ever seen an instance where Jeffy actually said like the hard R. I know that he said the regular one, but not the hard R. Jeffy's siblings. This entry is referring to how Jeffy has a sister. I mean, I talked about her earlier, but that's like the only sibling that he has. Poobie's real name. If you guys didn't know, Pablo, or Poobie, is just more or less just a nickname that he's gotten because in high school, when Logan and Pablo were classmates, he didn't really see him as the original name, which I'll get to in a second, but he genuinely thought that his name was Pablo, so that's what he called him, and then the name sort of just sticks. But no, his real name is actually Christopher. Strip Club Pics. This entry is referring to the fact that there was a whole bunch of drama, which I'm not going to cover until a little later, but basically there was talks that apparently Logan was cheating at the then girlfriend Chili with a stripper, and supposedly that these pictures arose, which were later to not be true. And yeah, no, this entry is just referring to the fact that allegedly there was pictures of strippers in his phone, but it turned out that that wasn't true. SML 2. This is probably referring to the fact that the current SML channel is not the original SML channel, and I'll get to it later, specifically in the next tier, but yeah, no, the current SML channel that's up is not the original one. The original one got deleted, but like I said, more on that later. Junior controlled time for an episode. This entry is referring to a time where Junior was able to control time, specifically in the SML video The Remote, where he basically found a TV remote and it turns out that he could control time, and that's probably what it's referring to. Tony the Tiger. Tony the Tiger is a really old SML character. We're talking like 2007 days since he was added, but basically more or less this was referring to the fact that he sort of obviously isn't used anymore and hasn't been for over 6, 7, 8 years now, more than that even. And it's obvious because, Tony the Tiger, Kellogg's, and he probably doesn't want another lawsuit. But also, they sort of poked fun at this in a recent video where basically Brooklyn T guy was ousted and was overused, so they fired him. And it turns out that he went into the secret door, and there was a picture of them, but supposedly that they just couldn't find the Tony the Tiger plush, and that's why he hasn't really been in any videos, but also more or less because Logan's not trying to catch a case. Junior and Cody's secret relationship. This is referring to a theory that Junior and Cody could secretly be in a relationship, but obviously this isn't true. I mean, Junior, as of recording, is currently dating Penelope, and also on top of that, Cody's in a love triangle with him, Ken, and that one kid from the neighbors, the hooker dudes. I forgot his name. Yeah, he's in a love triangle with them, so I don't think this theory has any merit, but yeah. The villains team up. I don't know what this entry is referring to, but my guess is that every SML villain is probably going to team up, like Bubbles, Super D, Nancy, and the butt-tickling bandit, or that other character that we're going to talk about later. Bully was abused by Bonsai. This theory is referring to the fact that the reason why Bully Bill bullies a lot of people is because he was abused by his dad, but it's not really true anymore because once they switched from the plushies to the puppets, that sort of storyline got crumpled only to the fact that he's no longer a character. Bonsai Bill is no longer a character on the fact of, the whole thing that happened with Logan, but more or less, this is not true anymore. Marvin has Stockholm Syndrome. This entry is referring to the fact that Marvin has Stockholm Syndrome. If you don't know what Stockholm Syndrome is, it's basically when somebody kidnaps you and you fall in love with the said kidnapper. I don't know how this theory came to hold. There's not really a lot of merit / proof that he has Stockholm Syndrome. But yeah, this is just a really weird theory. And just with that, we are done with tier 7. We literally only have 3 more to go because I forgot to count the 10th one. But yeah, hopefully we could just get through this. The many, now gone, SML channels. This was back to what I was referring to earlier when I said that the original SML channel is not the original one. Logan had a variety of YouTube channels. I mean, nowadays he still does. He has the main one, the gaming channel, and, Lance's channels, Elena's channels, Chili's channels, basically all of those. I call those adjacent, but, to each their own. But basically beforehand, there used to be a lot more SML channels. There used to be Super Mario Logan, Super Luigi Logan, Super Toad Logan, Super Bowser Logan. There was a bunch of other Logans as well. And fun fact, Super Peach Logan is now Chili's channel. They were obviously deleted because of the whole Nintendo wanting to sue them sort of thing, but also more importantly because YouTube deleted their original first channel, which had 10 million subscribers and is kind of interesting. Mama Luigi. This is the same exact thing that I said back in tier 4. There's really not much to add. SML Plus. I'm not really sure what this entry is referring to. My guess is that this entry is referring to maybe like a tier something on his Patreon, which, speaking of Patreon. Yes, SML does have a Patreon, and this is what I'm probably thinking SML Plus is thinking of. Maybe it's a tier in his Patreon. I don't really know because I don't have anybody on Patreon. That's just a me thing. Jeffy's parents. I'm pretty sure this is referring to Jeffy's original parents, or his biological parents, not his parents Marvin and Rose. His original dad was a painter and was a crucial artist part of the SML universe, and his mother was just an abusive, drug-using, terrible, abusive mother, and he had a lot of scars as a kid. More on that later. Logan and Chili's complex relationship status. This one is talking about the whole thing when I referred more on that later on Chili's part of End way back a couple years ago. This is what this is referring to, because more or less now everything is solid, but before we're talking maybe 2021, 2022, things were not as they seemed. There was a whole thing that went down where no one really knows something. Chili cheated on Logan, Logan cheated on Chili, and it was just a whole fiasco that happened. And supposedly Logan had relationships with a stripper or something like that named quote unquote Willow. But after that, I mean, Logan had a different girlfriend, which we'll talk about soon, and then they broke up. And then Chili and Logan got back together, and now they're married and have a child. Does bad things guy. You remember how I always said more on that later, specifically for the secret door? Yeah, this character is the super bad character. If you guys didn't watch Secret Door, then what are you doing with your lives? But yeah, basically, Does Bad Things guy is supposedly Brooklyn T guy's his only identical brother, and he was a horrible human being. He murdered 26 people, almost 27 people, and was just an overall really bad guy. This man is super dark. That's why he was only there for one video, because he was just like a really, really bad guy. And I mean, only OG fans typically know about him, but like I said, he does bad things. Oh, one more thing, don't confuse him with Does Bad Things Poopy, which is the judge's evil twin brother. Junior's real mom. This entry is referring to the fact that we haven't really ever seen Junior's real mom. I mean, originally in the plushie days, he did have an identical looking sort of mother in the Koopalings, the original one. However, that idea was sort of just canned. And then on top of that, Logan had a pet turtle named Shelby. Not sure whatever happened to that turtle, but what happened after that is they went with that, saying that that was his mother originally, but then they canned that idea after they converted it to puppets, and now we don't know what Junior's real mother is. Nobody knows. It's probably going to be a future SML video. Zeke cutting off Logan. Remember when I said Mama Luigi that I would mention more on that later? Yeah, we're here. So the voice actor of Mama Luigi, Zeke, cut Logan off for various reasons. Specifically because during the filming of the Super Mario Logan movie, Zeke was supposed to be there just to record his lines and that's it. However, Logan offered him a full-time position to work at SML with him as a full voice actor. However, what happened was Zeke was supposed to leave everything behind and moved to Florida because he moved to Michigan. And unfortunately, Logan just, for some reason, he never really got back to Zeke, and it almost cost him his job in real life, which is why he sort of cut Logan off, because he kind of almost cost him his job once he sort of not really like talked to him, which is understandable. I mean, it happens. Why would you just leave somebody on red and not do anything? But yeah, that's why Zeke sort of just cut off Logan for that reason. I mean, like I said, it's understandable. You don't just sort of offer a job to somebody and then not get back to them. But yeah, this is what this entry is referring to. Curb Stomp / Tito Totter. Curb Stomp was Anthony's original channel. He then changed it to SML Anthony. But basically, Curb Stomp was an original channel led by Anthony, who basically was just supposed to be Kirby, and then turned to a whole different thing. But then he sort of rebranded it because he more or less rebranded it because of the whole thing that was going on with Logan and Tito, and because they broke up, because Chili and Logan broke up, Anthony was sort of closer to Tito apparently, and they sort of weren't talking for a little bit, and then they came back, and then they did start doing more of everything. And Tito Totter was Tito, which is Chili's brother's channel, where his thing was all about Sonic. After the whole fiasco thing, just a bunch of things happened, a lot of relationships ruined, but then they were remended again after they got married. FNAF is real. I don't know what this entry is referring to. Maybe it's saying that the episodes of the FNAF series were canon, which I'm pretty sure they were, but who knows. Tom Brady jersey. This entry is referring to the fact that Tom Brady signed a jersey for Logan because Logan is a huge Tom Brady fan. But yeah. Nintendo is SML's true villain. This is a theory saying how Nintendo is the villain of SML because, you know, they sort of just didn't allow them to use their plushies, which I mean is understandable. But yeah, this is just a poorly written theory. Fake channels. This refers to the amount of fake SML channels there are that post SML content but aren't affiliated with SML at all. There's also, you know, like the re-upload SML channels who re-upload deleted videos, which shout out to them because they are goated. Junior is a racist. This entry is referring to the fact that there are definitely moments where Junior is definitely racist. I mean, there was the one time where he straight up just said the N-word. There were multiple times of that, in fact. There was also other times where he just sort of looked like a German dictator in the 1940s. But yeah, is Junior a racist? Nah, I think he's just more offensive than anything. Everyone in SML is in purgatory. This theory is about how everyone could be in purgatory, which is like a level before hell. And I mean, it's honestly pretty interesting to really think about the fact that some characters could be in purgatory, or how the entire universe just takes place in purgatory. I mean, it sort of makes sense because I mean everyone, and when I mean everyone in the SML cast, not like the actual people who play them, but like the characters themselves have done questionable / illegal and sort of sinful quote unquote things. Like, I mean, absolutely all of them have. But yeah, this one's actually a pretty interesting theory. Nintendo. Nintendo is a artist who most of the time animates all of the animations in SML that need to be animated. I mean, the most recent video he's been is a couple weeks old, but more or less he's a pretty solid guy. He always got Logan's back and always just uses the animations and tries to use the animations, which I personally sort of like. I don't know why this entry's so low. He's pretty known, but yeah. Ken was possessed. Like most things here, some people know about this who want to know that it's a theory in the Ouija board episode where Cody has a sleepover with Junior, and the gang basically get on a Ouija board and summon a demon, which technically basically possesses Ken. The demon is killed when Cody burns the puppet in Spoken as well. But yeah, this one's probably just thinking about how in the Ouija board scene it possesses Ken, and then they basically destroy Ken to keep him alive, or to kill the demon that's inside of him. Bowser Jr.'s 10th birthday deleted scene. This is referring to a deleted scene from Jr.'s 10th birthday where Cody gives Jr. Nickelodeon kart racers and Jr. burns SpongeBob's head on the cover. It had to be removed due to the fact that it would have been majorly controversial, as at the time, this is when Steven Hillenburg passed away. And with that, Tier 7 is done. Logan and Chili cheating on each other. Yeah, this is the same entry as more or less the last one with their complex relationship status thing. Yeah, both of them cheated on each other and it was just a whole thing, but yeah. Official SML store location. In case if you guys didn't know, SML has an official store located in Pensacola, Florida at the mall there. I'm not sure how big or small Pensacola is, but I'm presuming that it's small enough to only have one mall. But basically, at the main mall in Pensacola, there is an official SML store where sometimes they occasionally go over there to go do things, but yeah. This is where he sells most of his merch and stuff. SML cast members arrested. Yes, there are multiple SML cast members who were arrested. I'm gonna list off most of them. Adriana, which used to be SML's or Logan's girlfriend. Julian Jimenez, which is Chili's youngest brother. Chili Jimenez as well. Wanda Sanchez, I believe Chili's mother. Matthew, aka Scooter. Manili Jimenez, sorry if I butchered that one, which is the father of Chili, and Lavelle, who also got arrested. And technically Logan and Lance were arrested as well, but I mean that was because of the SWAT team thing, not really. Oh, another thing, I didn't really know what those people got arrested for. The only one I know is JJ, aka Julian. He got arrested for possession of an worm and firing a weapon, but that's it. Chef Pee-Pee's family. Chef Pee-Pee hasn't really had more of a family background. He's only had technically 2 family members. The first one being a drunk pirate salesman, which turned out to be not true, that he just sort of was his adoptive father. It turns out he was of royal descent / bloodline by his father, who is King Strongbottom. But sorry, it took me so long to try to find that. Jeffy's red helmet. Fun fact, before his helmet was blue, it actually used to be red. There isn't any footage of him looking with a red helmet, but in the original concept art for Jeffy, he had a red helmet. This is probably what it's referring to. Jeffy was going to be named Doofy. Same one with the concept art. Apparently Jeffy was going to be named Doofy. However, at the time, Doofy the Dragon was still a character, so they couldn't really use that name. And obviously, for more clarification, they weren't going to call him Doofy.
Huey, do you remember back in high school when I had that little anime?
Yes, it was the kid on like the little like rocket ship thing, and it had the song that went there.
Man, a rocket.
Yeah.
So back in high school, I had this this animation of a kid wearing a bicycle helmet. I still have the files. I'll find it somewhere.
Yeah.
And he was riding on a little rocket ship machine outside a store, and he was singing a song, which I still want to upload the song eventually. So I had been making a character like that for a while. So the helmet was originally supposed to be red, but blue was the only one that the company would make of the helmet. So then we added the pencil in the nose after he arrived. Originally he wasn't supposed to have a pencil in his nose either.
Yeah, I think you like texted me one day and you're like, what if he had a pencil just way up in his nose?
So then when the puppet arrived, we put a pencil in his nose.
And the eyes were originally like really far apart,
And
so we had to bring in the eyes a little bit closer.
I thought because when the eyes were really far apart, he looked like a snake, or he looked like yeah. I didn't like it, so we made the eyes closer. So his name originally was going to be Doofy, but we already had Doofy the Dragon. So yeah, Doofy the Dragon is not supposed to be a character anymore.
Yeah.
Mario time loop theory. This theory is referring to the fact that Mario is stuck in a time loop. Every time he's in a video with Jeffy, there's just a loop in time just causing random things to happen every single time. House fire. This is referring to the plot of the original house that he used to live in with his mom. The only reason why he left the house was because the house burnt down and they had to move to an apartment, which is probably what this entry is referring to, how Junior basically accidentally burnt down his father's house. And yeah, it basically just caused them to move to the apartment, which then they got evicted from and moved to a house. Jeffy's father is alive. Yeah, this one's true. I mean, in Jeffy's 18th birthday, it's sort of confirmed that his father comes back to life and he's getting nothing. Nada. Niche. Zero. No money. SML X the Aqua Teen Hunger Force connected universe. This theory is referring to the fact that SML and the Aqua Teen Hunger Force are connected somehow. I mean, this is sort of, I don't know. I'm not really sure if this one can technically be true or not. I mean, I've never really seen this theory before, and as much as what I've read about it, it just sort of seems like a fanfic thing, but I'm not sure. I don't personally think they're connected, but yeah. Chef Poo Poo is Robot Chef Pee Pee. This theory is referring to the fact that Chef Poo Poo, which is basically a dumber down version of Chef Pee Pee, may have been the robot of Chef Pee Pee in the Robot Chef Pee Pee episode. But it turns out this theory was wrong, as Chef Poo Poo made a comeback in Jeffy's birthday surprise, so this theory just basically has no merit anymore. The magical button. This is a video from 2017 where Junior, Joseph, and Cody find a button in the attic to use for stuff. However, one of Junior's family, friends, and others basically just start dying, and it turns out that this button kills one person. However, it's at the cost of a wish, so basically he wishes to get something and then he gets it, but it costs a life. And it turns out he basically almost kills everyone until he reverts everything back to normal, but at the cost of killing Logan, which then it pans out to Logan editing the video and just falling over dead, which is kind of funny at the fourth wall breaking. But yeah, this is what this entry is talking about, probably this episode. Jeffy isn't... This entry is referring to the fact that Jeffy might be faking his illness. We all know that Jeffy has some sort of deficiency or something to make him, for lack of a better word. But basically, this theory is referring to the fact that he could be faking everything and he could be a completely normal person. However, in the lie detector, which was a video recently, not too recent though, it was a couple months ago, it sort of confirmed but not really confirmed that he does sometimes fake his illness. As when they asked him the question, when he acts like this, is he being genuine, or are you actually when they ask him, is he actually, and when he answers yes, both the red and green light flicker, which what I think that means is that yes, sometimes he fakes it, but at the same time I think it's also genuine at the same time, which is probably what I'm thinking of and what this entry is probably referring to. Jeffy was... This is a theory referring to the fact that Jeffy could have been before being dropped at Marvin's apartment. I don't think this is the case, especially because of Jeffy's 20th birthday, where we learn a lot of things. More on that later, but I don't think this theory has any merit. I don't think whoever posted it is funny, but like I said, that's essentially actually kind of fucked up, low-key. Deleted videos. This is probably referring to the many deleted videos on SML's channel and also on his old channel, because there was at least over 400 or 500 videos that were deleted because that channel got deleted, and this is probably what this entry is referring to. Alternate dimensions. This theory is referring to there are many alternate universes, which is sort of dabbled on in the series of Mario's Super Dumb Adventures or something like that, what it's called, where he sort of just hops through dimensions and stuff like that. But like I said, I mean, this one is sort of true, but not anymore as much as a sense. You made it to the final tier. Let's wrap this up, guys. Just a couple more entries to go, and I added some from yours truly. Let's do this. The Abyss. Logan and Chili's sex tape. Do not research. This entry is referring to the fact that there could be possibly a sex tape, or allegedly there was a sex tape recorded with him and Chili. However, this has never been resurfaced, or it's just a myth at this point. It has never surfaced, and I don't think this one's true because I feel like they wouldn't do this. SML creepypastas. This is referring to the abundance of creepypastas that are SML related, such as Jeffy's Normal Day and the Black Couch, which were one of the most infamous ones, honestly. You should definitely check some out. They're pretty interesting. Damaged/destroyed character box. This is referring to the time where Logan destroyed a character box full of plushies for no reason at all. Apparently he did this to Tito when they were having problems, and it was overall kind of uncomfortable. Obviously Logan paid back Tito, but to think about that he would just destroy character boxes like that is kind of interesting and not really his best moment. But yeah. EDP445 becoming a cast member. This one's just straight up an Icebergism. If you don't know what an Icebergism is, basically just joke entries. But no, EDP did not become a cast member. This would be funny though. It would make sense why he had beef with Logan. But I mean, come on now. EDP 445 really? If you guys don't know who he is, search him up on your own time. All you gotta know is that he's a child toucher. Well, for that, a Drake, if you will. Adriana. Oh, perfect. You remember how I said more on that later on who he dated? Yeah, Adriana was supposedly the that Logan cheated on, which, I mean, to each their own, I guess. But yeah, Adriana was the girlfriend, quote unquote, that was the stripper that he was texting. And also he was the one who got with him after the breakup with Chili. However, ironically enough, Adriana got cheated on by Logan with, drumroll please, Chili. Yep. And the worst part is he didn't even have the balls to just outright and tell her that they're breaking up or he's leaving her. His manager had to do that. Let me show you the clip right now.
You literally sat down on the couch at the foot of the bed with me and where me and Logan sleep. On the blue couch, you sat on this side, I sat on this side, and you told me Logan has a lot of money and he has a problem and I don't think he's ever going to be able to change.
I said I'm the one who helped. I am the one who picked up
You also said that that every single time Logan goes to your house, that you're the one who texts me, and you said, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to be put in that situation. And I said, it's okay, I appreciate you telling me. So every time he goes to your house, he goes somewhere else, and you said most of the time. What I don't understand is why you are confessing to that.
But I'm telling you what happened. I'm telling you our conversation. This is what happened in our conversation. I'm sorry you don't remember it the way it happened.
Wendy, you're 46 years old, and I'm at 23.
I'm not 46 years old.
I don't know how old you are.
Well,
You're in your 40s.
Don't say what you think you know when you don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, Wendy, you come up to me and you tell me, oh, by the way, every time Logan comes to my house, I cover for him.
Okay,
what am I going to think?
You're putting words in my mouth again. Stop doing that. Speak what happened. Don't say
Okay. What you said was, I asked you, so does every time Logan goes to your house, like you text me, and you said most of the time.
You didn't ask me.
What did you tell him happened? I know you told him that you said he had problems.
I just said with you, yes. Here's the thing, it's not a Logan problem. It's a problem whoever's going to be the person in his life problem. It's not a Logan problem. It's honestly not. So you can either deal with it or you cannot deal with it.
Him cheating on me.
No, him having a life. Him doing what he wants to do. If he chooses to do that, then fine, but that doesn't, I mean, that's not the point of this conversation. This is his problem, and if he wants to deal with it, you don't.
What is the problem?
He likes to have a lot of friends, and he likes to have a lot of conversations, and you can't seem to let him live his life.
You told me that he's never going to be able to have just one woman in his life.
That is the way I currently feel. That is the way.
Kind of scummy thing to do, Logan. I mean, but like I said, I'm not really here to bash Logan, but it's a pretty thing to do, man. Cheese packet condom. This is actually kind of a lighthearted one, I'm not gonna lie. But the cheese packet condom is referring to a Chili vlog where Logan pranked JJ, aka Julian, which is Chili's youngest brother. This was at the time when he was about 18 years old, and being the 18-year-old he is, he was, you know, trying to get freaky. He was trying to match somebody's freak. But what he did was he gave him a condom, but it wasn't actually a condom. It was a Velveeta cheese packet. You know, the ones that you find with like a cup of macaroni and cheese that you cook in the microwave? He gave him one of them, and that was actually funny. I remember that video. That was super funny to me, because he quite literally had cheese dick. Yeah, it was kind of a lighthearted. This is a lighthearted entry, kind of funny prank, but obviously, you know, he gave him an actual condom afterwards. But I mean, that was a pretty funny prank, not gonna lie. Mario and Luigi's Stupid Dumb Adventures Season 3 finale could have been the SML finale. This entry is actually true. If you guys didn't know, the Mario and Luigi's Stupid Dumb Adventures Season 3 finale was a finale where basically Logan just hit a roadblock and he didn't really know what to do. So what he did was he tried doing like this ultimate last ditch effort thing, and to really just end his channel and start becoming like a normal person working like a 9 to 5. But yeah, however, I don't know what happened, but he just decided to just continue, which was honestly probably the best path he could have chosen, because we wouldn't have this iceberg if that weren't true. But this is honestly just a good thing for him, and thankfully he still continued to make videos. Mama Luigi's dismembered remains behind the secret door. This entry is referring to the fact in the secret door you could allegedly see Mama Luigi's dismembered remains back there, but this is just simply not true. I mean, I've seen the behind the scenes and also I've seen the actual video. To my knowledge, this entry is just false. You can't actually see it. And like I said, not only that, but they also brought back Mama Luigi shortly after the secret door was released. So this entry just sort of doesn't make sense anymore, because knowing the fact that that happened and then the falling off of Zeke. But yeah, no. Logan Predator claims. This entry is referring to the fact that there are claims that Logan is supposedly he was texting a 16-year-old on Instagram, but it turned out to be that these images were just doctored. I'm not sure. I mean, for all we know, these images can be true, but yeah, there's always claims for everyone. Well, for every famous person out there. But these are just claims. Don't take them seriously, and if things actually come to a head, I will personally make sure I change this clip. Craig was responsible for SML's demonetization. This is referring to the excuse Logan made about how Craig was responsible for getting demonetized. This was just simply an excuse to keep Jeffy around, and like I said, if you guys don't know who Craig is, he's the devil, and that's there's not much to it. But this was just an excuse to keep Jeffy around. The attic skeleton. This is referring to the unknown person seen in the attic in the magical button. Nobody knows who it was, but my guess was the previous owner of the magical button, Mario. This is referring to an obscure character called Mario, which is basically just a dumber version of Mario who acts exactly like the one in SMG4's videos. If you don't know who SMG4 is, he's a content creator who uses Gmod and basically just makes random plots and stuff like that for Mario characters. Mr. Corndog. This is referring to another obscure character, Mr. Corndog, who attempted to join the SML cast and the main cast in the main character judging, however, was overshadowed by Shrek, which is basically like an old video where they were just casting characters and boom, he was overshadowed by Shrek. Not really much to this one. They never brought him back or anything like that, but kind of interesting to think about. Joseph's father. This is referring to Joseph's father seen in Joseph's house, who originally was a dry bones turned into a boo, causing Junior and Joseph to be in terror, how he just basically turned from a dry bones into a boo. However, this was before the puppet days. So now we just know that his father's just dead. That's it. He was buried. Joseph is secretly insane. This is yet again another debunked theory, knowing the fact that Joseph is somehow a psychopath because of how the environment he was raised in. But this theory doesn't really hold any merit. I mean, yeah, he's technically a little bit not mentally stable, but I mean, as far as like mentality, he's pretty fine in terms of that. Forgotten characters. This is basically just referring to the many characters that were forgotten, such as the Angry Birds, King Strongbottom, Mr. Pig, Mama Luigi, and like obscure ones like the Jamaican Croc, or hell, even believe it or not. Mr. Winkle. Mr. Winkle is a character in the SML who is basically known for one thing and one thing only, is that he is a convicted sex offender and a pedophile in the universe. He first appeared in Junior's first grade, where basically he was basically like He was basically like the replacement teacher at the time, and you could already tell off the start that he was just a bit insane and like sort of creepy until he goes full on, where he goes into the bathroom where Cody was pooping and basically just stands right next to him. Definitely weird. And also he later gets arrested, then gets freed out of prison somehow. He then tries to go back as a teacher, but then he was quickly found, arrested again. And then recently in the summer series tried to do it yet again. There's not much known about his backstory. All we know is that he has a brother now, and he used to be a police officer. The backstory of Jeffy. So this is actually a new one that I just put in recently, but basically Jeffy's backstory is a lot more tragic than we used to think. Apparently a lot has happened to Jeffy to maybe understand why he acts like he does. For example, how he was conceived. Basically, his mother Nancy drugged French Pierre Francois, also had her way with him, basically insinuating that she drugged him and raped him. Then on top of that, she stole his money and basically just kicked him out and had Jeffy as a child. And then Phoebe's backstory is also similar, except the difference is it was consensual, where basically the landlord of the house of Nancy was basically just trying to pay bills, and then what happened was during Christmas time, she realized she couldn't pay the bills, so she paid with other ways. And that's how Phoebe was born. And on top of that, she was very abusive, keeping both Phoebe and Jeffy in one cage. More on that later. Phoebe was raped. Yes, this one is unfortunately correct. Phoebe was raped by a character which I will introduce right now. CJ Winkle. CJ Winkle is not much known. All we know is he's a junkie who basically gets high with Nancy during the flashbacks that we see. However, one time Nancy could not pay for shooting up crack with them, so she paid with another way, that being Phoebe. When Phoebe was sexually abused by him multiple times, and Jeffy just really couldn't do anything, which sort of just traumatizes him. There's not much known about CJ Winkle, considering he's just a brand new character. However, he does get what's coming to him, especially because Jeffy, one time, while Nancy was gone getting groceries, what happened was CJ came in and tried to assault Phoebe. However, Jeffy stopped him and beat him with a hammer. However, at the time, his brother, Mr. Winkle, or David Winkle, was a police officer and basically threatened to have them arrested if this ever happened again. We don't know much more about it, but yeah. Thankfully, after, Jeffy hunted down CJ Winkle, tied him to a monster truck, and rammed through his old house, killing him. Thankfully, hopefully he doesn't come back. Hop, hop, hop like a bunny. In Jeffy's favorite song, there is a kind of creepy and unsettling scene at the end where Mario is just like sleep deprived, or like sleep paralysis. He's sleep paralyzed, where he couldn't move, where there was this weird bunny suit guy who was just dancing and singing the Hop Hop song, and then slowly got to him and just killed him. That was just a weird, creepy ending. It was later reused in Junior's 9th birthday, where they had a birthday at Freddy Fazbear's, sort of, where it was just like killer animatronics. And Brooklyn guy, Joseph, and Cody, and also Chef Pee were all stuffed inside of the animatronics. Jerry is a newly added character who basically just tells you unnecessary things at the worst times possible. There's not a lot known about him considering he's new, but all we know is that he's just basically a punching bag. Jeffy's 20th birthday deleted scene. This entry is referring to a deleted scene in Jeffy's 20th birthday, where it turns out there's this guy called Reggie, who I believe at the time was a porn star creator, guy. This was definitely before the era of OnlyFans and everything like that. But it turns out that this scene was just cut out where it just explains that Nancy and this guy named Reggie were gonna make a couple videos, specifically, you know, that adult content stuff. And it was just to make a lot of money, but for some reason Logan cut this out. I'm not sure if it was because it didn't fit the narrative or anything like that, but yeah. And finally, for our final entry, the origin of this iceberg. So what is the origin of this iceberg? Well, it was a mix of Reddit and a mix of the SML wiki. Yeah, I know, kind of lazy. The last couple, like I want to say 5 entries, were done by me because I just thought that these entries could be cool to enter in. But like I said, a mix of them were between the SML or the Iceberg wiki, and others were for the SML Iceberg, and just like the last couple were just made by me. I could have thought of more, but at the time I just didn't have anything else, but I know more will probably pop up. But as of now, this is the current SML Iceberg, or should I say the ultimate SML Iceberg. Yo, I just want to say thank you guys for watching the video. I didn't know how to end this, so I'm just going into the Christmas spirit right now. I just want to say thanks for Serena and King for lending me their voices. I got nothing to say. King's got something to say, so let him speak real quick.
I don't get paid enough for this shit, man. I mean, I don't even get paid at all, but, you know, if you're watching this, follow, like, subscribe, or whatever platform he's posting this on, but this guy's awesome. Here we go.
Yoshi on the beat, motherfucker.
Last Christmas I gave you my heart, but the very next day you gave it away. This year, to save me from tears, I'll give it to someone special. Last Christmas I gave you my heart, but the very next day you gave it away. This year, to save me from tears, I'll give it to someone special. Once bitten and twice shy, I keep my distance, but you still catch my eyes. Tell me, baby, do you recognize me? Well, it's been a year, it doesn't surprise me. Happy Christmas, I wrapped it up and sent it with a note saying I love you, I meant it. Now I know what a fool I've been, but if you kiss me now, I know you fool me again. Last Christmas I gave you my heart, but the very next day you gave it away. This year, to save me from tears, I'll give it to someone special. Last Christmas I gave you my heart, but the very next day you gave it away. This year, to save me from tears, I'll give it to someone special.
You know, in the middle of recording this, I'm supposed to be like doing like ad-libs right now, but I'm recording this on my phone. I just spent like 8 minutes left to get the TikTok story. Anyways, back to the song.
Crowded room, friends with tired eyes. I'm hiding from you and your soul of eyes.
My God, thought you were someone to rely on. Me, I guess I was a shoulder to cry on. A face-on lover with a fire in his heart. A man undercover, but you tore me apart.
Ooh,
Now a
find a real love, you never fool me again. Last Christmas I gave you my heart, but the very next day you gave it away. This year, to save me from tears, I'll give it to someone special. Last Christmas I gave you my heart, but the very next day you gave it away. This year, to save me from tears, I'll give it to someone special. Face on another with the fire in his heart. A man undercover, but you tore him apart.
I'm supposed to be doing another singing part here, but just wanted to say happy holidays.
Give it to
Thanks for listening.
someone special.
Okay,
Special. Someone